So, mate, I don't know if you've heard the rumours, or I want to say rumours, but I'm blanking on it at the moment. But let's just say reports / speculation. But essentially, last year, I'm just going to get to the main point. It's been speculated that when Doctor Who comes back under Russell T Davies, he's going to attempt to bring back a shared universe approach to the franchise. And this is sourced from, I want to say leak, basically news that I got from Doctor Who TV at this point, so yeah, just find it there. But essentially they talked about how a private company was established back in late 2021, and it was dubbed Whoniverse 1 at Wolf Studios, which is the studio that Doctor Who will be running from, starting with Russell's era. So, not a lot to go on there, honestly, but it does get your gears turning and make you wonder if that is true, if we could be seeing spin-offs come back to the forefront, or like approaches to storytelling in the main series that will tease a bigger universe, a bigger storyline going on. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Russell T Davies did say, I think you might have told me this, that he thought when Chibnall was still in charge and it was still Jodie Whittaker's era, he said that Doctor Who should become like the MCU, like they should have their own like sort of not empire, but vast like different stories happening at the same time in the same universe. So that's probably possibly what this is, isn't it?
Likely, yeah. I mean, if it's still that approach they want to go with. So you'd be open to seeing more spin-offs come back?
Oh, well, yeah, I think because I loved the Sarah Jane Adventures, and Torchwood was great, and I watched the first episode, or the first 2 episodes of Class, because I watched the one with Peter Capaldi in it, and then I watched the second one, and then I realised it was bad because Peter Capaldi wasn't in it, so I stopped watching it. But I think they were just BBC really cheap compared to Doctor Who shows that the ones that lasted were the ones that had memorable characters, so not Class. So I think that given Russell T Davies is now in charge again and he has his own company who's producing Doctor Who, I think it's highly likely that there'll be at least some spin-offs, like 1 or 2 spin-offs from the new era, like so I'll say R2D2. There'll definitely be some spin-offs, but this multiverse, this expanded universe of Doctor Who, it's a very likely thing now. Given everything that's all the news that's happened and everything that's going to happen from the 60th, is actually highly likely, and I think I'd love it. If they did some really good things that Russell was not in charge of, because I think it would drive him mad, but if he had sort of godly oversight powers and he could see the trajectory and have someone else competent to run it, I'd love it, I think.
Yeah, I would be fully open to that, because again, I feel like with how the Whittaker run has gone, it's definitely made the universe feel a lot more smaller, and that's not a good thing, honestly. And
especially Doctor Who, it's supposed to be the biggest expansive universe ever, and it's not now.
Yeah, another reason why we need the Timeless Child to be fucking gone. But yeah, I mean, no brainer for me. I would love to see it happen. In regards to spin-offs, I mean, do you think there are certain ones you'd love to see come back, or maybe even just make a new one overall?
There are. I have a list of some that I would like to happen. So do you have a big list?
I've only got 2 technically. One of them's not even likely to happen.
Okay, so I've got about. Okay, sure. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I've got 6 potential things that I'd like to come back. Should I list them? Should I list them, because you might have the same ones?
I'm guaranteed to. I probably have one of yours, but by all means, list them out, mate.
Okay, so I'll list them when they go into why, after. So, Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures continued, a unit spin-off, Pete's World, the Ruth Doctor, and the Eighth Doctor.
Okay.
Is there any there that stand out that you'd like to hear about?
All of them, actually. So could you go through them individually?
Yeah. So Torchwood is like an easy one because it's like they can just make more of it because it's got a format sort of like Doctor Who meets like a crime, like a police drama. So they can easily just make loads more stuff happen that centres around Cardiff. And I think that because... So, I don't know if they'd want John Barrowman back because of the whole like scandals that he went through. So, like, I'd be up for him coming back because I love John Barrowman and I love Captain Jack. And I think that from all the bad stuff that's happened, he has like... I don't know if he's atoned for it yet, but he's definitely apologised extensively for everything that's happened, and maybe apologising isn't like the thing that can clear him. So if he can go back, that'd be great. If not, they could run it with the same characters from before, or have like say Martha be the main character in the show and run and lead the show and lead the group. I don't have any like details of what I think it should include and anything, but I think Martha being a lead character through the whole series, not just a recurring character, could make it stand out more as a show that would last longer.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That makes sense. And I mean, if I had my choice, I would choose Jack to be the runner of Torchwood because he is the most iconic character associated with that brand. But I also do agree that, in light of the allegations, we've talked about this before and what I think of them, but if they were dead set on not, and sadly not bringing John back, they still have, I think, I'm sorry, I'm blanking her name, but her character, Gwen Cooper.
Eve
That's
Miles.
it, yeah, thank you. Eve Miles. She's still acting, and I remember she did come out a few years ago saying she permanently retired the Gwen Cooper character. But I mean, come on, it's such an iconic role for her. Give her a truck ton of money and a guaranteed lead role in a series associated with a brand that could at that point be like on high again after the low it's currently in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure she'd be more than up for it. And I mean,
I'd hope so because I love Gwen. Gwen's a really great character, and she's easily capable of being the new leader. And then she be the leader. There'll be a couple of like Torchwood characters that have been in it before, and then a whole new cast of Torchwood.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to lean into the MCU approach to it, maybe they could have Martha Jones be the Nick Fury of the new expanded universe.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. I guess Martha could be there. Yeah.
So what's the other ones you want to tell me about?
So the next one is Sarah Jane Adventures Continued. So obviously we can't have the Sarah Jane Adventures because Elizabeth Sladen sadly passed away. What 10? About 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, it's 10 years
Sarah...
ago to last year, I believe. Yeah, last year, so it was 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And I think they actually confirmed in universe that Sarah Jane herself passed away in like a short story or something.
Mhm. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so we obviously Sarah Jane can't be the lead character, but you could have like Rani or Clyde or Luke be the new lead. Or bring back, or have I don't remember the companion's name. Who was the other companion who was in the episode that Matt Smith was in?
Joe Grant, Katie Manning.
Yeah, maybe she could be the leader or be in the series, like somehow. Maybe not the like she can't replace Sarah Jane, but she could like turn up. And just like have the gang from Bannerman Road just be back and doing more, like same as Torchwood. It's basically it has the same format as Torchwood, just for kids rather than specifically for adults. Just have them back and like carry on Sarah Jane's legacy, but doing their own thing, and like have like K9 be in it and Mr. Smith. Maybe they could like update the Mr. Smith is a computer and make Mr. Smith like an AI, like you said, like you specifically said in the Flux review. Have an AI that can carry around, and that'd be Mr. Smith, and make him a more prominent character, or make him a character, like make Mr. Smith a person, like how they did Jarvis into Vision, something like that maybe. If we're going by MCU comparisons.
Honestly, yeah, I'm picturing it now. Just the Bannerman Gang or something, but it's a loose title maybe. But I'm picturing Luke.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm picturing Luke. He's older now. He's got K9 at his side. He's got Mr. Smith as an AI in like a special kind of wristwatch that he can carry around with him, and he travels around England solving alien-related mysteries just like his mother did. And I think that'd be quite a great way to continue the story of the legacy of Sarah Jane.
Yeah, and making it again like a kid's version of Doctor Who.
So what was the other one?
So my next one actually I think is one that you also have. So I'm gonna bring that over to you to explain. So the next one that I have is a Unit spin-off. So do you want to go over your version of the Unit spin-off?
Sure. So yeah, this is the only version that I would really love to happen, and I think could happen. Now, here's my pitch. Martha Jones is the main character. It's her big return, or maybe she can come back in like series 14 or 15, and that will be her reintroduction episode. Meet the new Doctor, get a grip on where everything is at the moment in the universe, and from there you spin it off into this series. And what I would do would basically be a version of Torchwood, but with Unit. And does that mean it would be more adult, or more younger, or more in tune with Doctor Who's family audience? I'd say that's up for debate, because Unit has tackled stories varying on subgenres and tones, so I could see them definitely going a bit more of a mature route, or maybe go more of a safer route. But either way, that would be up to the showrunners at the end of the day. But in terms of a narrative, I think it would just be such a cool way to reintroduce a character that we've all been familiar with from a past era, and have her be connected to this organisation alongside Kate Stewart and Osgood. And they could bring back what? I'm forgetting the name of the
Malcolm?
Yeah, that's him, Malcolm. Malcolm the scientist. Yeah, they could bring him back and go from there. I mean, I'm sure fans ever since the 70s have wanted a Unit spin-off. So what better way to do that than to bring it back with a lot of characters that are already well established, and you could definitely take them places. And here's my little twist to it. What I would also do in this, if I was actually part of this, if I could throw my pitch into the ring, what I would also do is bring in Kate Stewart's son. Now, do you know she has a son?
Is his name Michael Finch?
No, her son is actually named. Yeah, I believe, if I'm remembering well, her son. She has a son in her first appearance. I believe it was like a made-for-TV movie or something called Downtime, if I'm remembering. And she's introduced with her son, and I believe his name's Gordon. I want to say Gordon. Maybe it's George.
Gordon Stewart.
Yeah, but essentially that kid he's not really relevant in the grand story. He's had that one appearance and then that's it. And I think Kate did.
When was that?
Yeah, he appeared in her Kate's first episode appearance, the Downtime episode.
The Power of Three.
Oh no, not in the main Doctor Who series, but Kate Stewart, her first appearance was in a made-for-TV movie that was made in the 90s, back when Doctor Who was off air.
The same actor.
No, it was a different actor, but
okay.
But she appeared alongside Lethbridge Stewart, her father, and it was like a solo contained story just for her.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she ended up getting a sequel, if I remember, about the demons returning from the John Pertwee serial, The Demons.
Sure.
Yeah, so if anyone's curious to see Kate Stewart's first appearance, or like first run in the universe of Who, you can check those episodes out, I guess. But the point is, they established in her first appearance that she has a son, and he's so far, to my memory, not been heavily talked about since, outside of like being indirectly name dropped in the Peter Capaldi episode, Dark Water, was it? Or Death in Heaven? Death in Heaven. Yeah, because she mentions that she has she's a mother of two. That's what she says. And that's it.
Oh, sure.
That's like the only indirect mention he gets in recent years. So, considering that they could be doing a spin-off about Unit, it's going to have Kate in it. What better way to delve more into her family history than bring in her son, who I assume would be maybe in his like 30s or 40s at this point. So yeah, that would be
because the Kate Stewart is about that age.
She's like 50.
He'd be like in his teens.
Maybe because like the kid. I mean, just judging off the child actor who played George, from my memory, he was like 8 or 9, I think. So I guess maybe
sure, like I think they'd have to recast the kid because they recast Kate, so she'd be much younger than what she was in that spin-off movie. So I think in relation to our Kate, who is probably like in her 30s, 40s, it'd probably be a teenager.
Yeah, no, I'd assume like maybe like late 20s or 30s. But the point is,
nah. Yeah, well, she was 10 when she gave birth to him.
God damn it, mate!
But yeah, that's what you're implying. If she's 40 and he's 30.
No, you're missing the point. Essentially,
no, you're missing the point.
Oh, we're getting off track, but hey, whatever. Point is, ages aside, I would love for him to be introduced because, again, leaning into the legacy approach to it, because I think at the end of the day, we need to accept that we're getting to a point where a lot of these actors from Classic Who, they're growing old. I mean, how long is it until the sad day will come when we'll lose Tom Baker, when we'll lose Carol Ann Ford, when we'll lose Peter Davidson. So this is a reasonable time period where you can start introducing legacy characters like we talked about earlier, like Jamie McCrimmon having a kid who could recur in future episodes, who like Kate Stewart, who already has a kid in canon, and all they have to do is just introduce him in a Unit spin-off or in the main show, and from there you've got a connection that they could build on if they wanted to. Maybe he could be working for Unit, or maybe he doesn't. They could take the opposite approach to that, but maybe getting involved with the Doctor gives him a taste of that that side of life, and he realizes that maybe I should get my research on, see if there's something I can learn from this life that my mother and my grandfather have led. And
I think if they did a Unit show, it'd have to be very like it wouldn't be the Brigadier show, but it'd be like his like legacy and his like a tribute to him. I think more than anyone.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He is the most associated character that we know connected to Unit, so they can't not introduce the Stewarts in the show if they're going to do it. And
it'd definitely be Unit like run by the Stewarts, but the show would be run by the Stewarts. Yeah,
and also I would love to see like the old cast of Unit brought back, because some of them are quite old now as well. So I'm forgetting the actor's name, but Mike Yates and Benton, they're still around. They still promote the show at conventions. How great would it be just to have them all come back one last time and set up the new generation, or just at the very least be there to celebrate their return, the modern return of Unit. It would be such a lovely
they could easily be like a board member characters, or like very high up in Unit that don't necessarily get involved but are there.
Yeah, and even in the case of Benton, if I'm remembering from canon, in Expanded Universe canon at least, he actually retires and goes on to own a pub, and it becomes a frequent visiting point for the Doctor in various incarnations, and the Brigadier as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So I would love it.
That'd be cool to like canonise that.
Yeah, so I'd love to have the new Doctor just come into a pub in London, and he goes to the bar, and it's Benton, and he's just like, "Hello, old friend, how are you doing?" And they could be like, Yeah, they could have several episodes. They could even have if they bring back the Christmas special, they could have an episode, the Christmas festive episode, end with them all celebrating Christmas at the pub. That'd be such a festive thing.
I think if they introduced a character like Benton into modern Who, or if it wasn't like a unit show, if that was in Doctor Who, I think they wouldn't necessarily address that that's an old character, because I don't know who that is, and I reckon most of the modern audiences don't know who that is. So I reckon if that sort of character did come back, it would be like they would just know who the Doctor is. Like, it wouldn't be said who they are or anything. It would just be like, this character knows the Doctor, and that's sort of like the end of it. But they're a prominent character, maybe, or just like a cameo. Because to bring back Sarah Jane, it's like fair enough. You know who Sarah Jane is. And like the Brigadier and Unit, you like, they're big characters that even if you haven't watched classic Who, you know that they exist. But like, or like Jamie, for instance, like, you know who Jamie is even if you haven't seen his episodes. But like, characters like that are very obscure compared to like the Brigadier, say.
True, but at the same time, it's like saying you wouldn't bring back Osgood. Well, you would bring back Osgood, but you wouldn't explain her backstory because
Well, Osgood is a modern character though, so like she makes more sense.
Yeah, but I guess
you know who you are.
I guess in long-term terms, so let's say 50 years from now, because I know you don't know.
Sure.
I don't.
Well, yeah.
Because I know you don't know who Benton is, but he was a very prominent character in the Pertwee era, and I think he actually was introduced in the Second Doctor era. So he does have a presence to a good majority of Who fans. So I don't really see there being a problem for him to be brought back, and they can acknowledge his past involvement with the Doctor. And at the end of the day, they don't really need to go give us a deep explanation. All they really need to do is that, oh yeah, I was with Unit during the early days. I was on many adventures with the Doctor. I've seen a lot, mate. So don't worry, you would have a pint.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair enough. If they like bring, like, he's in it and he explains that he has a history, then yeah, that's a way of doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess capping off, this conversation in total, for me, I think did you have a few more you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a couple more, but also I've got a thing to finish off with the unit one.
Okay.
Like as well as all of the like classic, I guess legacy unit characters, I'd like to see. I think her name was Captain Magumbo, who was in the Dead Planet, and in Turn Left. She was the one who was helping Rose.
Oh yeah, her
sort the TARDIS out and travel universe. I like that character, and I'd like her to if there was a unit show, she'd have to be in it, right? She'd like, even if not a prominent character, she would have to like just be like a recurring one.
Oh, definitely.
Because if they do a unit show, they should bring back every single unit character possible, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, like it'd be weird to just like have a show called Unit or whatever it's going to be if it's made, and just have a completely new cast.
Mm.
It'd be a bit bizarre.
Indeed.
So I've got three other potential spin-offs, and I'll go through them pretty quick because they're not like, I haven't gone in depth about it. It's just like ideas for possible things they could do. So the first one is, or the next one is, so because RTD is now in charge again, he would make more sense to bring back this particular spin-off, and that is Pete's World. And Pete's World is the parallel universe that Rose goes into in the one with the Cybermen and the Daleks. What's that one?
Pete's World.
Is that what it's called?
Well, that's what the universe is called. That it's dubbed.
Oh no! What's the episode called?
Oh, Rise of the Cybermen, I believe, and Age of Steel.
No. Oh yeah, that's the one, but not the finale episode.
Oh, Doomsday and Army of Ghosts.
Yeah. In those episodes, the universe. That's when Rose is pulled into that parallel universe.
Oh,
and then,
are you talking about Rose Tyler Earth Defense?
I don't know that's the thing.
Oh, so you don't? Okay.
No.
So back when Rose was being brought back to when she was leaving, Russell T Davies heavily considered the idea of making a spin-off about Rose, and it was going to be called Rose Tyler Earth Defense. And
right.
the idea he pitched was that it would be like a special, a one episode special every like Easter or something, or like every few festive occasions. And it would basically be Torchwood, but with Rose in the parallel universe. And the story was never ironed out because he quickly dismissed it because he realised that it would diminish the gut punch of Rose's departure if we just suddenly saw her again a few months later. So we decided to basically rework the idea, which is why when we see Rose again in Series 4, she's working with an organisation, well, she's working with UNIT, and she has all this advanced technology. It's because it's implied that she did, form her own version of Torchwood or organisation to protect Earth, and she's since then been like doing her thing. And it's not out of the realm of possibility to imagine that that's still going on after she married the Metacrisis Doctor.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Like, I think it would be a cool thing because like they could do that show whenever. Like, they don't have to do it now while everyone's still like young, because that particular Doctor who's in that universe is part human, so he's going to grow old. So like, it doesn't matter what David Tennant looks like because it's not the Doctor, it's the other Doctor.
Yeah,
I guess they'll probably just still call him the Doctor, right?
Likely, yeah. And that works for Rose too, because again, in universe, the actress is aging like the character would. So theoretically, they could make this spin-off like 20 years from now, even 30 years from now, and they could still get away with it.
Or maybe not 30, because like, isn't David Tennant 50?
Oh shit, yeah.
They wouldn't want to do it when they're like 70. But anyway, so they like have like Rose and the Doctor and Pete and Jackie, maybe not Mickey because Mickey is creepy.
Oh god,
in real life. And like Tony, Rose's younger brother, significantly younger brother.
Yeah.
I guess I'm pitching the thing that's already been pitched. So yeah, that would be an interesting thing to do. And I don't know what they do, if they do like a Sarah Jane Adventures type thing where they're just sort of fighting from their own home, or if they do a Torchwood thing where they make their own division of defense people against aliens. I guess all of the Doctor Who spin-offs have got a very similar premise, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's just Doctor Who, but a bit different.
I guess it depends how it's executed, because if you asked me to pitch a Rose Tyler spin-off, considering it is set in a parallel universe, I would definitely be the one to go, let's make it, I wouldn't say rated R, but let's definitely push the envelope, because when you've got a parallel universe, you can definitely play with alternative versions of characters. And I would, again, I think I mentioned this off air, but do you remember when I told you about the Dark Dimension spin-off episode, that this the 30th anniversary special that we never got made?
No.
Okay, then it's probably been a while. But yeah, back when Doctor Who was off air, there was consideration to do a special, in lieu of the 30th anniversary, and it was dubbed the Dark Dimension, or Lost in the Dark Dimension, and it basically was going to bring back every existing incarnation of the Doctor, or at least like the few that were still active to act in it, and essentially it was going to be set in a world where time had been fractured or something, because the Fourth Doctor had not died, and so because the main character was going to be the Fourth Doctor, but he was going to meet several classic companions. He was going to meet other versions of himself, past incarnations of himself, and it dealt with alternative versions of iconic monsters. So we would have seen Cybermen, who had like Wolverine claws and looked much more menacing. The Daleks would have had an upgrade, so they would have been much bigger, and they would have had much deadlier weapons, if I remember. And
that sounds like what I want Flux to be.
Yeah, that's what.
And I thought Flux should have like loads of like parallel versions of creatures and all the Doctors from various universes.
Yeah, that would have been so much better. But yeah, essentially that's what that was going to be. It didn't happen, because of reasons. Again, I think there's a documentary about it, or a book maybe you can read about it if you want to know the full story.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
It really is. It's what could have been. But yeah, if I was back on track here, if I was given the chance to play with a show that was all about an alternative universe, I mean, what better way to differentiate it from the other shows, if they even get made as well, than to have a darker universe where they face more threatening monsters that can push the envelope. And again, if they want to, I mean, considering it would involve the Doctor, I assume, this version of the Doctor, yeah, have a more threatening race of Daleks out there, because that definitely would up the stakes, considering this is a Doctor that can die. He can lose his life, and he won't be reborn.
Oh, they'll definitely kill the Doctor if they do this series. Like, have a couple of series in, or like in series 2 or something, he actually dies, and it's like he stays dead, because that's never happened in Doctor Who. So that'd be a unique thing. And like you said, it should definitely be a darker thing for more grown up audience, and possibly like a horror inspired, or like it maybe just be a straight up horror a series.
Yeah, I mean it could work. It really depends on how it's all executed at the end of the day. But again, the potential is there. They've just got to act on it.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's a really interesting concept, I think, and since you said it's already been pitched, I think like it's more likely to be like made if Russell T Davies is had the idea and he's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And every single year there's like, oh, Rose is coming back. Rose could come back in this because it'll be her show.
You never know. And I guess was there any more you wanted to add?
Yeah, there's 2 more. So the next 2 are basically the same thing, but with different protagonists. So it's basically, I guess, a series of Doctor Who, like just a normal series of Doctor Who, but with the Doctors that never got as much screen time. So I want a Ruth Doctor, or like the Flux Doctor. What's the Ruth Doctor called? The Fugitive Doctor.
Fugitive, yeah.
Yeah. So the Fugitive Doctor and the 8th Doctor to have their own, at least one miniseries, so we can see those Doctors like actually at their full potential, not just in the occasional episode or mini episode. Because like the 8th Doctor is a really like the stuff he's been in has been like so interesting, but he hasn't been in a proper episode of Doctor Who since his one episode of Doctor Who he was in. And then the Ruth Doctor, like I thought she was a really interesting incarnation, and she's so cool looking, and she's like acted so well, and her TARDIS is cool, and everything is like just like design cool about her. She's just a really interesting Doctor. If they had their own series, because I don't think that Ruth Doctor is going to be mentioned ever again after the Chibnall era. So to have her own series would be like, or mini series, maybe even run by Chibnall, like how he did Torchwood. Well, maybe not, because no one likes him, but it is his character after all. So to maybe like to take the load off, like the workload off of him, and just have him do like run the Ruth Doctor series, possibly. Or whoever is in charge of the 8th Doctor could do an 8th Doctor series, because I love his design and I love his TARDIS and that Doctor. So a standalone mini-series for the Fugitive Doctor or the 8th Doctor would be another cool spin-off series. That is all.
Gotta say,
what do you reckon about them?
I understand one of them. I'll say this. I'll finally get on to the one I think would never happen, and probably will not happen, and honestly shouldn't happen, I think, in a way, is the Fugitive Doctor spin-off. Because I think the 8th Doctor special spin-off is more likely, because it's, as you said, he's a Doctor that's been established a lot longer and a lot more memorable. I mean, I guess in terms of we know that incarnation of the Doctor. Sure, he may have only had technically 2 episodes, counting the mini episode where we got to see him regenerate. But he's got so many adventures in Big Finish. They could fill up like a decade's worth of storytelling there. So
yeah, just take some of this stories from Big Finish and put them into episodes. Like, you don't even need to write the story.
They could do that, or they could make their own stories that they could take influence from those episodes.
Either way, please just make him a series.
Yeah. I just think that in his case, he's owed it, because he was in that awkward place where the show was off air. They tried to make a movie series out of it, and it didn't work. But he did what he could with the role that he had, and he clearly did a good job because he's still doing voice work for it to this day. And I think that it was a shame they never took advantage of that when he came back in 2013. And given that it's going to be the 60th, he could maybe be in it. So what a better way to grab lightning in the bottle again if they win with that one to make a mini-series about him as well.
Make him a prominent character in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, this is a very, very quick tangent. I thought that Paul McGann should have been the War Doctor. I don't think they should have had John Hurt. John Hurt's great. He didn't really add much, I don't think. And I think it should have been Paul McGann as the main character in the 50th. And so it didn't mess up the order of Doctors and have him in a prominent role. I'm sorry, ran over.
Understood, mate. Because I can sort of agree, because it would be quite an interesting way from where that Doctor started to where he ended, being this war-torn hero. But I can also say that I do appreciate the performance we got from John Hurt. But yeah, I guess that's another conversation for another day.
I appreciate it, but the thing is, the character. Sure, but yeah, I guess it is. I was just about to say the character did just die, in the end, without any particular thing happening to him. I think it would have been cool if Paul McGann's Doctor died in the Time War, how it was sort of implied that that's how the Ninth Doctor came about.
True.
But anyway, that is completely apart. Besides the point.
At the very least, at least the War Doctor had a beginning and complete arc in the end, compared to
sure, yeah.
Yeah, which is why with the Fugitive Doctor, we know so little about her, honestly, and as great as she is compared to Jodie at the moment, I kind of feel like, again, this is primarily based off the fact that I feel like we're not going to get any continuation with the Timeless Child beyond Chibnall's era. So I highly doubt that Russell would want to make a spin-off with this character, because I'm sure it seems like it would be logical to do that, considering what was done with this era. But at the same time, I also feel like, again, it's a big thing that, again, we've talked about this so many times. We didn't want to know this side of the Doctor's origin, because, again, this is an origin that we don't like, or I don't like at least, and digging their claws deeper into this storyline by making a spin-off dedicated to this big aspect of it. I don't think it would be any good for the show going forward, and it is a shame, because Jo Martin, compared to Jodie, is such a great actor. She's such a great incarnation of the Doctor. It's a shame she wasn't, the 13th Doctor. Or, again, I'm sure we talked about this before, but again, I would have loved her to have been the 14th Doctor. But considering how things are going right now, she probably won't be. I don't know. Again, for all we know, the casting of the Doctor could be confirmed by now, and we'll just be talking in the past tense from this audio recording. But at the end of the day, I just feel like it was, if the Timeless Child arc had been done differently, as again we've talked about this in previous episodes, go and watch them for context. But if the Fugitive Doctor had just been an incarnation of the Doctor from another dimension, another universe, and had been her own character as opposed to a forgotten incarnation, I could have definitely seen a scenario where her last episode with Jodie ends with her saying, "I'm going to go back to my universe, and we're going to try and save what we can, because that's what we do." And bam, you've got a spin-off about the Doctor, this Doctor, and her special team of people, and not, again, continuing the theme of Torchwood and Unit of just flying around saving the universe or whatever, or saving the day. But sort of paralleling to the Rose spin-off approach. It could be, considering it's another universe, it could be darker, it could be more mature, and considering it's an alternative version of the Doctor, an official alternative version of the Doctor, that you could play with that. You could play with different incarnations. Who's to say you couldn't have done a storyline where an incarnation of the Doctor was full out evil and embraced her mantle as an operative of the division?
Yeah, like a evil Doctor Strange or evil Vision.
Yeah, but again, that
to bring it back to the MCU.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen in my book, because again, what we did get, it's a storyline that no one wants to touch, that I don't think they should touch again, and it's sadly going to be an example in my book that of a wasted actress and a wasted character, honestly.
Yeah.
But enough downers. I guess in closing, you think it's very likely we'll see spin-offs or an expanding approach to Doctor Who come back.
Yeah, especially since Russell T Davies is going to be in charge again, and his whole thing was about spin-offs, wasn't it? Like, he loves having spin-offs in his era, and he said that the show should have them now. So, given those bits of information, I think it's very, very highly likely that he's going to have some sort of spin-off happen. If not one that we've seen already, a new one that he'll create from the show that he'll make now.
Maybe. Again, I guess we'll have to wait and find out.